Hey. What about the Hxro cap? You can't buy it, to my knowledge. But I spoke with Dan. We're gonna be working on some kind of like merchandise store or something like that. So you guys should be able to get the Hxro merch. You know, you see the I got the Hxro Network tee right here. Pretty badass logo, and then the OG Hxro hat, which is pretty sick as well. It's a good hat. Can I just gift it to you? Man, this hat's sweaty as fuck. I don't know if that's something you're necessarily interested in. Lols. But yeah, just give it a second. We're gonna let folks trickle in here. Yeah, no, we're considering doing one of the bonding curve things on Solana through. Hold on, let me figure out what this place is called. Metaplex. We're considering working on Metaplex or something, and getting something together to where you can come in, get your cap. Well, we'll probably do hats. Get your hat on the bonding curve, and you can hold it, until later. You can redeem it, or really kind of just whatever you want to do. Make sure this link is working. Okay. Of course, big news right now. Hey, Lupe, and this isn't just crypto news necessarily, but the big news is the United States has pulled out of Afghanistan. Super interesting, kind of unprecedented. I have no idea, what that means for the markets, how the markets react. Yeah, Bitcoin does look like it wants to roll over. So that is something we need to keep an eye on. We need to be mindful of. We'll look at a Bitcoin chart. I'll show you guys what I'm checking out. Let me go ahead and get it over to this screen. Blah blah blah. Of course, some stuff looks worse than others. Mainly I'm going to try to continue to trade the charts in front of me. Charts in front of me are like on the cusp right now. They're kind of on the breaking point right there. No, I didn't end up going with a Model S. I got a Mercedes instead. It's very nice. Let's see. Desktop background. Here we go. Get rid of this. There you go. So everybody can see. All right, so there's really two things I'm concerned about right now for Bitcoin, okay? The first of these things is going to be the yearly volume-weighted average price. And you can see here on this complacency bounce for Bitcoin, that we had back here. This is the exact point, the exact spot where we had this reaction, we had this bounce, and actually exactly one standard deviation above that is where it was rejected. So it's a big deal that we've reclaimed this yearly volume weighted average price. A lot of investors use this volume weighted average price to determine, is the market bullish, bearish, am I hunting longs, am I hunting shorts, that kind of thing. Also, I think some market making algorithms are based around volume weighted average price and also standard deviations from that volume weighted average price. So the yearly volume weighted average price, which is represented by this white line right here, is something that I'm really interested in. And it's something you can see that we're above. And if you see right here, you can see this kind of support resistance flip where you can see that this yearly VWAP was clearly serving as resistance right here. We kind of fumbled around right here. We got above it, and then here we go again, boom. And you can see us right here bouncing off that yearly volume weighted average price. Okay, so that's number one. Now, while that is good, we're looking at this, and that's like a really nice clear sign, right? You need to keep this in mind as well. So there's going to be two interpretations of this, and this is just basic trend line. The basic trend line is something a lot of folks ignored. up here, and it's something that really could have, I guess, saved your ass in a sense. So you've got this basic trend line right here, and you can see pretty clearly, right, that we broke down. Boom, we broke down. Here's that little complacency leg. Here's the structure though, okay? So we want to pay attention to the structure that's been dictating this bull market. And when we have a break in the structure, I don't think it's necessarily something to totally ignore. So there's really two ways to draw trend lines, and apologies for, you know, those of you that have been watching for a while or just came to find shitcoins or whatever. You know, we do want to do a little bit of education here. Two methods, okay? You can do wick to wick, or you can do body to body. You can't do wick to body, can't do body to wick. You gotta choose. So if we're gonna do wick to wick, we want to connect either two adjacent lows or two adjacent highs. And this is really the only way to do it, you know, so you can avoid bias. In other words, is this a valid trend line right here? Well, that's actually a trick question. The answer is yes, because 3 points of contact denote a valid trend line as well. And you can see we have this here, 1, 2, 3. So we'll go ahead and blow that away. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna connect this fucking magnet mode just stopped working on me. What the hell? All right. So we're gonna connect this wick to this wick. And you can see we've got a nice little trend line right here. And then we're also gonna do the same for the top. Okay. So from this perspective, although, you know, sure, intermediate time frame, like within the daily time frame, you're getting some bearish signals, right? I mean, this is obviously some kind of bearish divergence here. But once again, remember that we are trend-wise very bullish. Anything that dips gets bought the fuck up. We haven't had any nukes. Anything that dips just gets bought up. Crayons and silico indicator, very good. I don't know why he doesn't use it, because it's great, you know, and if he did, he wouldn't have been bearish here. Great indicator though. And silico crayons, sus we're bullish. Here's another thing. SCMR, OG. Very similar to In Silico's crayons. Been around for a long time. Folks have been using this to trade Bitcoin for a long time. SCMR is bullish. We have green. This is daily time frame. This doesn't necessarily mean the price is going up. This is just more of like a dibs getting bought situation, right? And rather than rips getting sold. So I don't think that's the case right here at all. So we are looking at this trend line. We're still above the trend line. We're above the yearly volume weighted average price. We're still bullish, okay? Expect dips to get bought until they're not. Now, there is another way of looking at this. And a lot of times, I actually find this to be a better method. Just cleaner, more consistent signals. If you actually switch this to the line chart, you know, you can see right here that it becomes actually very easy to draw these trend lines, because no longer are you hunting for, wait, what's the bottom, you know, where's the wick, et cetera, et cetera. All I have to do is connect these two candle bodies, right? But what are we seeing here? So we're actually seeing a break in structure, you know, when we actually use the body-to-body method. And you could do the body-to-body method with the line chart, okay? So when I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, is this giving me, you know, some kind of clue as to what's coming, as to what's about to come? You know, and the answer very well could be yes. Switch it back over to candles, just so we can see what we're looking at here. See how it translates over. And look at this. You can see the clear breakdown right here. But once again, most people, I feel like, use the wick-to-wick method. And we're still very much above this trend line as far as they're concerned. Now, my main thing here is going to be watching how we react at this yearly volume weighted average price. And there's levels to this shit, okay? Because you can actually come in and I've got a couple of different configurations and settings. It's set up for decade right now, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna switch this over to the quarterly volume weighted average price. I don't know why the band's multiplier is on 3. That's fucking weird. So we're gonna do quarterly VWAP. Oh shoot. Okay. Well, let me find the right one. It's got the right colors and shit. And this could give us some more information, you know, as to just how this asset's been trading this quarter, what we're looking at. All right, that one looks good. Oh. Okay. Now, something that's interesting to note is for this quarter, okay, the volume weighted average price has not exceeded the yearly volume weighted average price. And that's still something I'm thinking about. You know, is that going to be like actionable intel? Is that going to be a signal, et cetera, et cetera? I'm not quite sure yet, but it is something that I'm watching just in relation to each other. But you can see here, you know, this entire run, we have one standard deviation from the quarterly volume weighted average price, which is dictated by this skinnier white line right here. And you can see that this one standard deviation level from this VWAP has been acting as support. And we do have confluence here, once again, with the yearly VWAP and also this +1 sigma, you know, from the quarterly VWAP. So Bitcoin is kind of in no man's land right now. You know, while we have most indicators saying that this is bullish, there are some early signs of dwindling momentum, a weakening momentum. However, we do only have 2 pushes on this entire move. But right here, you know, it does look like we're primed for a pullback. Mainly 2 things. One, I haven't really looked at it on an indicator basis right now, but I guarantee you, if, you know, we threw RSI or something like that on there, maybe we'll go ahead and do that just to fuck around with it and see what's up. This very clearly looks like this entire structure. When I compare this leg to this leg, we have some bearish divergence between the 2. And not only that, but we also have some bearish divergence up here. Now, what exactly is bearish divergence and why is that important? It's not the end all be all, you know, especially in a bull market, a bearish divergence or the presence of bearish divergence can basically just signify that momentum is waning. You know, maybe it's time for this to correct a little bit. But once again, you know, if you are in a bullish trend, those corrections are opportunities to come in and buy the dip. Okay. So it's something that, once again, I'm not too worried about just quite yet, but we do have some early signs here. People, I mean, sometimes, you know, a bearish divergence can indicate the end of a trend or something like that. But, you know, for right now, we're above this yearly VWAP. I think we're okay. That could change. But if you want to do this in your own chart, now there's 2 places that I'm really looking at. And that's FTX and Binance. I think that you're going to get the cleanest PA there, PA price action. There's great liquidity on both of those exchanges. Big market makers, just really clean. We can look at the Bitcoin perp on Binance too. And mainly what we're seeing here is pretty much the same situation. You know, this volume weighted average price is in the same location. And we've got this same situation here to where we are above the trend line when you use the wick-to-wick method. We're above this yearly volume weighted average price. Right now, that's bullish. Once again, watch that yearly volume weighted average price. That's going to tell you a lot of information here. And for me, right now, my DeFi setups look great, but this is something that would definitely change my mind. I mean, if we were to have a break and a close below this yearly VWAP and we're unable to reclaim it, we're unable to get back above it, I would start worrying a bit, for sure. You know, I'm not trying to be a bag holder. I'm not trying to hold this shit down. Not trying to get yield farm or whatever. All I'm trying to do is buy this shit low and sell it higher. That's it. So any kind of condition to where Bitcoin's still the king, okay? We got Big Daddy Bitcoin here. Big Daddy Bitcoin comes in and says, hey, market's coming down, we're pulling back. Guess what? It's just gonna pull back. Can't fight Big Daddy Bitcoin, you can't fight the trend. Now, the best thing here, I think, that we could see for these altcoin markets, and this is interesting as well, I just wanted to point this out, is when you look at the volume profile structure here, what we're seeing is actually called a capital B. Okay. And you can see here that within this B, we have a gap right here. So I would imagine if we are bullish, this is the kind of situation that we're going to see. And I'll do this right here. you can see the B right here, okay? B or saggy pancake tits, or whatever you want to call it. Loss. I would imagine that if we are bullish, what we would end up doing would have a third push up right here. This push would take us to +1 sigma over this yearly VWAP. That's about $55,000. And what we would do after that, just go ahead and clear this chart away. What we would do after that is we would work on filling in this volume gap. We'd make this volume profile complete, and then we would be looking at some kind of continuation situation. A lot of times these capital B volume profiles can be indicative of continuation, which is really, really interesting that we are seeing this here. Okay, but once again, watch, don't just make assumptions. Right now there's a couple things that we're watching, and we're watching very closely. One, of course, being Trendline, right? When the trend line breaks down, people are going to panic. I've talked about the prisoner's dilemma on my Twitter feed a couple of times. It's basically just the theory distilled down that when people have the chance to act selfishly, people are going to act selfishly. So if you're that guy that wants to act in the best interest of the group, you normally get fucked. So it is a prisoner's dilemma, because when this breaks down, your altcoin setup might be looking great, right? But what ends up happening is, one guy freaks out and he says, well, fuck, I'm not going to be that guy that eats the drawdown here, so I'm going to sell. And then the price goes down a little bit more. That creates a little bit more panic. Everybody hold, right? Hold. Everybody hold. Everybody delist your masks off the floor. Raise the floor price of your Pingu, whatever. But when people start acting selfishly, yeah, I feel that, K-Crypto, it definitely could be that situation. When people start acting selfishly, the issue is that it's just kind of a snowball effect. And if you're the last guy to act selfishly, you normally get fucked. Right now, I think we're cool. All indications are that, this does point to some degree of disbelief or something like that. I'd really like to see Bitcoin make this third push up, fill in this gap, complete the B structure on this volume profile, because it is so clean. And then we can see this continuation to all-time highs and beyond. Super cycle, Suzu was right, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, though, it looks pretty good. Pretty good. Not great, pretty good. We still do have these divergences. Let's see how they play out. Let's see what happens. Monitor the trend line, monitor the yearly VWAP. And we've looked at this yearly VWAP in perp exchanges. It's important to look at the yearly VWAP as well on some big spot exchanges. The number one of those being Binance. Binance, most volume in the world, I believe, when it comes to Bitcoin spot. So we can look at BTC USDT right here on Binance. And you can see that the volume weighted average price on the Bitcoin USDT chart is a little bit lower, and you can see how it's interesting. The VWAP acts as resistance right here on this leg, 1st of August, right? So we can technically be above $43,000 for Bitcoin and still be, in a very bullish situation. And once again, we do have this potential for B structure on this volume profile. I would imagine it would spend a little bit of time up here, reaccumulating, and this would be our alt season window. Now, myself, Random Task, the other analyst from Hxro Labs, we were talking about, what kinds of things, would dictate a rotation to Bitcoin. What kinds of things could dictate this rotation. Because it's very difficult. Right now, everything's pretty much kind of doing the same thing, right? For the most part. And of course, you do have outliers. We'll discuss those in a little bit. But everything's pretty much doing the same thing, right? If I wanted to long Bitcoin, why don't I just long Ethereum instead? And, I'll do a little bit better than Bitcoin. Basically is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I had to. The opportunity was too good. We haven't seen this sector rotation in a while, okay? And when I say sector rotation, I mean similar to after DeFi summer, when we saw Bitcoin really rip in face, right? And everybody that was stuck in those DeFi bags, in total Wojak mode. You know, we've seen Bitcoin do that to Ethereum too. We've seen Ethereum do that to Bitcoin. You know, where Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin significantly, and Bitcoin just kind of doesn't do much. But we haven't really seen large rotation in a while. We haven't seen that shift of money to one sector. And I do think that cycle of musical chairs of rotation, which is that's the fun in this, right? Because it presents these opportunities where, you know, if you're right, you can do really well over here in this sector. You take my money, go to this other sector, be right there too, or maybe be wrong. I don't fucking know, but it gives you opportunity. Bitcoin becomes legal tender in 3 weeks. We'll look at DXY in a little bit. I didn't know that. We'll look at DXY in a little bit. Okay, but the idea here is that, oh, legal tender in El Salvador. I see what you're saying. I mean, that could be a bit of a catalyst. So in terms of a Bitcoin catalyst, I think that the biggest thing for Bitcoin in the near term that no one's talking about yet, but it will be an important narrative when we get a little bit closer, is the Taproot upgrade. Now, Taproot is really interesting because it enables some things on Bitcoin. It enables DeFi in Bitcoin. I think it makes Lightning Network more functional. It enables some other level 2 activity in Bitcoin, layer 2 activity. Taproot is really interesting. I think it's the biggest thing that's happened to Bitcoin in a while. You know, all the Bitcoin guys have been coping. Bitcoin's DeFi, right? Well, after Taproot, a lot of this Bitcoin DeFi is going to become something that's a possibility. So I think Taproot, super bullish for Bitcoin. That's happening in November. So let's imagine that, you know, we would begin to see some kind of rotation to Bitcoin ahead of this Taproot upgrade. If that ends up being the catalyst, or not even a catalyst, just a narrative. These things are all narrative based. We gotta have a narrative for the rotation. Why are we in Ethereum right now? Well, Ethereum's burned like 50,000 Ethereum in 2 weeks. Like, that's fucking crazy, right? Let's check this. Let's check on these numbers. Etherchain.org/burn is the one that I've been using. Since inception, EIP 1559 has burned almost 60,000 Ethereum. That's 60,000 Ethereum taken out of rotation, taken out of the supply. That's representative of $180 million, which is pretty fucking insane if you ask me, right? Right now, the current Ethereum emissions are pretty high, right? Block utilization is pretty low. We're still burning $10,000 a minute, which is, wow, that's pretty nuts, right? But we've seen these emissions, we've seen them drop down a couple of times. You know, sometimes even becoming deflationary for moments. But the thing is, you know, and NFTs have largely been driving these spikes. The thing is about these NFT mints is they do cause spikes, and the spikes have a large magnitude, but the surface area under the spike is actually very low. When we're talking about consistent burning, sustainable burning that's really going to take this to the next level, we're talking about DeFi here. So I would imagine, you know, that we will see Ethereum and DeFi as something that, you know, becomes pretty symbiotic. You know, with really heavy DeFi activity, we could see Ethereum emissions drop significantly, which also could be a bullish catalyst for Ethereum's price. Here's the thing, the same thing was said for EIP, you know, and that, is it a catalyst or is it not? Honestly, I thought it would be a sell the news event, and I couldn't have been more wrong, right? But the thing is Taproot's gonna be the same way. You got a catalyst for Bitcoin. We haven't really had a narrative for Bitcoin rotation in a minute. That's your narrative. IMO. We'll see what happens. So let's just say this Taproot shit is sometime in November, and I'm going to draw a rectangle, and I'm just gonna kind of frame out this month, just so we can start kind of thinking in terms of perspective. So here's the month of November. Taproot. Okay. Taproot. So also, for continuation, to probably flesh this volume profile out to see, kind of what we're thinking about here. We're going to have to fill in this area, so we have this unimodal distribution, at least within this volume node right here. I would imagine that represents some kind of choppy sideways period for Bitcoin, and we don't have a lot of time to do it. So I can imagine, something like this playing out. So here, I'm going to mark this down as, and this is important, okay? Potential alt window. Okay, now look, a lot of these altcoin setups are fire right now, right? They look really, 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 really good. By the way, I wanted to ask, is the volume okay? I know we've had issues with the volume levels in the past. I just wanted to make sure that, A, you guys can hear me, and the music's pretty fire too, in my opinion. So can you hear the music? And then do we have an appropriate balance, between those two things? All good? Everything good? Word. So this is just, this isn't, all I'm doing and all I'm trying to demonstrate is me thinking about rotations right here. How the rotation could end up playing out, basically. How this could unfold. And I very well, high probability chance I could be wrong, but at the same time, I'm trying to have different frameworks and different plans that I can fall into. Now, another situation, of course, maybe Taproot is sell the news. Maybe Bitcoin pumps into Taproot, and then we have some kind of alt window after that. I'm still thinking this is unlikely just because, we do have this gap. We do have some ground to make up here. I really do think that we flesh out this volume profile node. That's going to look really, really good from the the standpoint of the people that look at that, standpoint of market structure, and then we can rotate into Bitcoin for Taproot, and who knows after that. So that's Shale for Donna says in chat. Do you think that Ethereum Layer 2 is bullish catalyst for DeFi resurgence? Yes, I absolutely do. Oh God, I gotta hear ledger status. Why are my headphones so massive? Well, they're not that big, dude. Come on. I'm rocking the Philips Fidelio X2HR. And these are, so actually, yeah, well, they're open air headphones, which is really nice because I can hear people yelling at me from downstairs. And also the sound stage is really nice on these. Okay. Sound stage on these is really, really nice. And this is the first pair of headphones I've ever had, well, since I've been like fucking 10 years old, right? We live in the 21st century. Oh, get the fuck out of here. To where I've actually got a corded headset now. And I've got an amplifier too. I've got the Sennheiser GSX 1200 Pro, which is a really, really, really great amplifier. Couldn't be happier. And I'm coming from, what was that brand? I used to have some real cans, okay? But it was the Arctis, whoever makes those. The Arctis, the 800 Pro, I can't really recall the brand right now, but those are battery powered. They didn't sound as good. And also, to be honest, you think a battery's a convenience, but there's nothing worse than like, oh fuck, my battery's dead. Whatever. Oh god, Ledger Status has been sipping on the whiskey today. Yeah, Steel Series. Thanks, Tundrick. I was a big Steel Series guy for a long time, but I kept reading on audiophile websites. I wanted an audiophile grade setup that didn't break the bank. So that's why I went the route I did after speaking with a couple of people. Ended up looking really good. Okay. So we've got a potential alt window marked out right here. This would flesh out this VPVR node. We would, convert this to a unimodal distribution, and then we would have this nice B shape for continuation. Taproot upgrade, maybe rotate to Bitcoin sometime mid to late October for Taproot. And then this sets us up perfectly for what we all crave, which is the December, Christmas, Santa's coming, Bitcoin moon. It's weird. Bitcoin seems to be just going nuts a lot of times into the end of December, right? And this would align perfectly with that. Once again, I'm just mapping out potential. I'm trying to make sense of these bullish setups I'm seeing right now in DeFi. Let's check out Ethereum. And once again, if you're going to chart Ethereum, you're probably going to be wanting to look at Binance and FTX. Okay. So here we have the Ethereum daily. Now we see a bit of a different picture here on Ethereum than we did with Bitcoin. The number one thing that I want to point out is that the distribution here, the volume profile, is not nearly as good. There's a lot of inefficiencies down here, which is a bit of a scary situation. So this is almost supportive of the maybe Bitcoin runs first narrative. I'm not sure which narrative ends up taking hold, but Bitcoin could pump and maybe Taproot marks the top and then everything else goes crazy. I'm not 100% sure here. But once again, let's take a look at Ethereum. Let's try to make some sense of this. So here's that volume weighted average price for Ethereum. We're sitting here at 1 sigma, plus 1 sigma from this volume weighted average price. And of course, Ethereum could remain bullish down to 2,400 bucks, right? Which, that's kind of scary. Let's check out the quarterly. Oh. The wrong ones. So Ethereum is just kind of doing the same thing Bitcoin's done. While the structure remains bullish, at the same time, we do have these high time frame bearish divergences. We still have maintained, and this has been since Ethereum really started to be in up-only mode, we still have maintained this plus 1 sigma level on the quarterly VWAP. The quarterly volume weighted average price is actually over the yearly volume weighted average price right now. We've got the point of control right here, which is much, much, much lower in Ethereum. Around oh shit, looks like $1,800. Bit of a scary situation. Okay, when you look at Ethereum from that perspective, but let's draw a trend lines and shit. Let's see what's up. And also, I want to look at Ethereum on Binance Spot and FTX Spot. But number one thing here, and this is very similar to Bitcoin, when we drew those line charts on Bitcoin and we saw those breakdowns, once again, we're seeing a breakdown on Ethereum right here. Right? Here's a break in trend. It's kind of scary. It's kind of scary. Now let's do our wick to wick method. Now on the line method, which granted, when you do body to body, that's going to be a lot more susceptible to being able to, break back up and things like that, because really with body to body, what you're more concerned about is that body closing outside of that trend line. So we're doing our wick to wick method here. You can see, we kind of broke out of this trend line structure up here, but we've returned. And you can see right here that Ethereum is kind of do or die right here. It's kind of at its last stand. Different story when we look at body to body than wick to wick, of course. The scariest thing is that this yearly volume weighted average price in Ethereum is so much lower. Ethereum could potentially have a longer way to fall than Bitcoin, which is definitely something that could be, supportive of maybe a rotation into Bitcoin. Maybe Kyle was right. Maybe Sue was right. Let's take a look at BTCD. Not my favorite thing to chart and look at, but let's for lulz, let's take a look at it. See what's going on here. So line chart, let's keep it simple. Let's make this easy on us. So this is interesting, right? So we do have a breakdown in structure in BTCD, you know, suggesting that Bitcoin will continue to lose dominance, is basically what that means. Red on trends. This includes, and this is weekly, we've got red on crayons and red on SCMAR, which suggests that Bitcoin will continue to lose dominance as well. You know, and when we look at this, I've seen some people try to frame what's going on with Bitcoin dominance right now in the context of what has happened to Bitcoin dominance before. That's also something I don't think you can do just because things are so much different than they used to be back then. Let me go ahead and remove some of this stuff just to take some of the noise out of here. So here we are, you know, we're under this fat VPVR node. You know, we do have a confirmed breakdown in Bitcoin dominance. You know, the question here, because right here, the structure was looking more bullish, you know, and a lot of people did think that Bitcoin is going to take back that dominance, and then EIP 1559 happened and DeFi started performing really, really well. Now we're in the situation where we're watching out for a higher low. So not this exact same structure, but similar to what we had here. So where, you know, we tried to have dominance recover a little bit. We came back down. I would definitely kind of be afraid of a higher low here. Now, most of Bitcoin dominance is going to be comprised of basically Ethereum. So let's check out Ethereum BTC. We're going to look at this pairing on Binance. Ethereum BTC. Now this is kind of a tricky one because there's two schools of thought here. You know, one being that this is that complacency leg, and one thing that supports that theory is the fact that Ethereum is just really been kind of straight up only, no pullbacks, no forgiveness. But when we look at the daily time frame of this, you know, and we are looking at this from the lens of something that is consolidating. Let's draw these trend lines and see what kind of picture that we're looking at. So we are seeing this kind of potential continuation structure, you know, but at the same time, I really don't like this because we've broken out right here and we haven't had that throwback. You know, we haven't had that dump that retest this trend line. A retest of this trend line right now would take us to about 0.06, 0.062. You know, where we could see continuation after that, or maybe it breaks back down and we end up breaking this structure to the downside. I'm not 100% sure. Of course, there are two perspectives to this. You know, one of them looks like a triangle. The other one looks more like a flag. So we're going to use our body-to-body method once again. We're going to draw this. Try to match this up appropriately. This one looks more like bull flag-ish, continuation-ish. Now, if we were looking for a potential target from this, there's a couple ways to do it. One, we can take the length of the flagpole. My favorite way to do that is just to draw a trend line from the bottom to the top. Then I can grab this and I can apply it to the point of the break. That would suggest that a target here would be around maybe 0.1, 0.11, 0.12. So just somewhere in this general region. Now, the second method that we can use to determine potential target from a flag break like this would just be the fib extension. We can look at that 1.618 level, which has confluence with what we just drew. So, you know, it could end up playing something or playing out something like this, to where we have this throwback and then we really have this Ethereum season. By all indications, you know, looking at Ethereum Bitcoin, which I think is going to be a good marker for this rotation, you know, if we just do keep our eyes on this. I can't fathom this not being continuation, although it very well might not be. We do have a resistance cluster right here. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to push above, just in terms of structure, previous structure that we've already established on Ethereum. And this is really interesting right here. And this is something I keep thinking about. I don't like that. And this is an accumulation cylinder, okay? And you can see that we started this accumulation, relative to Bitcoin, August of 2019. So we're really talking about, a structure that Ethereum was in for almost 2 years. And we finally broken out of this structure, and we really hadn't done shit yet, right? We really hadn't. Relative to the duration that this structure was actually, in formation. So here you go. When we draw that, you can see it from this perspective. And it is interesting, in my opinion, just to frame it this way, because it just shows you what we're looking at right now relative to the buildup, the amount of compression, the amount of accumulation here. It's difficult for me to look at this and say, oh, Ethereum is going to be bearish versus Bitcoin, at least on a larger scale. I'm not exactly sure, what happens from here. Let's go back to our daily time frame. Let's redraw those trend lines. Just to add a little bit more context to this. Okay, switch back to candles. So you can see here a breakout of this big structure that we spent literally 2 years forming, okay? Look at this. Here's the entire structure right here, but I mean, just in this accumulation cylinder, we spent, let's assume it started here, really all of 2020, 1.5 years, working on where we are right now. And it's not up that much. It really isn't. It hasn't really done much versus BTC, which is super interesting. Although, relative to BTC, Ethereum has more users, more transaction fees, more people paying to use the network, which is an interesting way to look at it. If you consider that maybe some of that network's value is derived from how much people are willing to pay to use it, how much demand there is for the network, how much demand there is for block space, or in Ethereum's case, how much demand there is, to fill up that gas limit on the block. Oh, is Sushi nuked? I'm not up to date on that situation. We'll have a look on into that at some point. I do like this Ethereum structure though, when you frame it relative to Bitcoin. Of course, right now the biggest risk is some kind of big, Ren's a good bag. Some kind of big Bitcoin Ethereum nuke. It doesn't matter how good Ethereum does look versus Bitcoin or whatever. It's just going to go down. Now, the sector that hasn't seen a rotation in a very long time, the sector that has, in my opinion, the most, symbiotism? The most symbiotic sector with Ethereum right now is going to be DeFi, just in the sense that DeFi has the ability, in my opinion, to burn a lot of Ethereum, because we have so many different AMMs now. We have so many arbitrage opportunities. These are like automatic transactions that occurred. Free money out there for people. They're carrying them out if they can carry them out, and within the confines of how much gas actually costs to execute. But there's a shitload of transactions, a shitload of pairs, a shitload of arbitrage. And then during volatility, we also have liquidations as well. All of these things can feed that Ethereum furnace. It can help us to burn more Ethereum. So there's a couple of things here that I want to look at in terms of DeFi. One of these being DeFi perp, okay? So here's our DeFi perp right here. The big question is, what happens next? Are we going to have some kind of continuation? Because right now, doesn't this kind of just look like a return to the mean? So I think we can add these yearly volume weighted average prices and levels and shit on here to get a little bit of insight into this. And you can see right here that, interestingly enough, even if Ethereum, let's say, does fall to 1,200, or not 1,200, to 2,400, we see DeFi perp right here above this yearly volume weighted average price, which you can see has been extremely significant when it comes to DeFi perp, with support here, with support here, with support here, with support here, And here you've got this big order block, and you've got this support resistance flip. Was resistance here, was resistance here, and now we flipped it. The big question, and one of the biggest things, because I'm heavily exposed to the DeFi sector right now, one of the biggest things I'm looking at is this yearly volume weighted average price. We have managed to reclaim this VWAP. Now the next question is, do we see some kind of support resistance flip right here? What happens next? So once again, a couple things. Let's look at the line chart. Let's draw this line. And you can see here, as opposed to Bitcoin and Ethereum, which when we draw those daily trend lines, DeFi hasn't broken down, which is really interesting. Now, Bitcoin and Ethereum nuking, right, which is different than just Bitcoin and Ethereum cooling off, will break this down. Don't get me wrong. So that's something that I'm very mindful of, that I'm paying attention to. But this does look good. And, you know, is it kind of just stairway to heaven, dips are illegal? Yeah, it is. But at the same time, I really like seeing this reclaim of this yearly volume weighted average price. You can see here when we switch it back to the candlesticks that is significant. We've got several examples to where, you know, this level is very important when it comes to DeFi as a whole. When you look at an index for DeFi, that's exactly what you're doing, is getting a perspective on what the actual sector looks like as a whole. Now there's another one that's very liquid and very good as well, and that is going to be DeFi USDT perp. That one's going to be the Binance version of this. Now, a little bit different situation here. Okay. And so you can see that this volume weighted average price does give us some very, very good levels. But when I'm looking at the DeFi USDT perp, you know, you can see here this +1 sigma level being pretty important on Binance. This is represented by this green line. Bounce, bounce. Okay, support, turn resistance right here. You can see this volume weighted average price also being an important level. Bounce, bounce, bounce. That's the yearly VWAP. Resistance right here, kind of support right here. We have flipped this. Now we flipped this level right here, and we flipped this also. You see this SR flip. That yearly volume weighted average price becomes support. Now the concerning thing is, although, you know, we still are green, we still haven't broken the trend line down. I'm not quite sure which one of these is the more important study. You know, is Binance's DeFi USDT perp more significant, or is FTX's DeFi perp more significant? I'm not really sure what the answer is to that question. And this one's been up only too. I think at a later date, you know, we'll take a look at what actually comprises these indexes. Here we go. Here's our trend line here. I guess trend line's kind of messy here, just because, damn, I mean, this has just been a straight grind, right? And you know, we're still kind of moving along the trend line for the most part. Let's try to draw one on the wicks, but like I said, it's really difficult to kind of draw trend lines and shit like this. Maybe that. Still above it, hasn't broken down. Yeah, well, we're gonna look at some shitcoins and stuff. The main thing I wanted to do here was just try to kind of frame the context of the market, what we could be looking at, and also to say that, hey guys, like, look, shitcoins do look good right now. They do, especially some of the stuff in the Solana ecosystem. We'll take a look at Sol real quick. Of course, can't bet against Sam. Wow, look at this. Got a nice scan fan drawn on this. Some really, really nice levels. Of course, you know, for Solana, you would want to see around $60 or so. Look at support. Then resistance could be somewhere, you know, in the $100 line, just by the fan. But wow, this is really interesting because this is a structure that we've seen in a lot of different DeFi projects. You know, where you kind of see these 3 bounces right here, and then just kind of up only after that. And I do think that a lot of other DeFi things could still be at this phase. It's where we really haven't had that big markup yet. You know, then again, there's a lot of really, really big money interested in the Solana ecosystem. There's a higher barrier to entry than there is the Ethereum ecosystem. just because it's more difficult to get involved with it for now. Solana looks great, right? Looks really, really great. Let's frame this in the context of Ethereum. We actually have a Solana Ethereum pair in Huobi. Here we go. So that has made a new all-time high, and then we can look at Solana versus Bitcoin. Binance has that pairing. So Solana has broken out versus everything, is now in price discovery once again. I do think Solana has more upside, but once again, you got to have the whole ecosystem play ball. You have to have everything behave. Bitcoin needs to behave right here. Ethereum needs to behave right here. Solana's, yeah, it's going full Chad mode. And you know what? With this Solana all-time high, a lot of this Solana shit is popping off. So you see here Radium, which is basically the Uniswap of Solana, looking very, very nice. You know, off of the bottom, here's this structure that we keep seeing everywhere. 1, 2, 3. And there's just no follow through here. And it's just up only after that. You can see Radium hasn't even returned to the VWAP. Now we have reclaimed this -1 sigma level from the volume weighted average price, but on some of these Solana pairings, like the yearly VWAP and standard deviation levels are just crazy good. They're just crazy good. You know, for Radium, I'd be looking at, you know, maybe $6.60 or so as being support. And I think you'll see the first major sign of resistance or profit taking up here closer to $10. That's where that yearly volume weighted average price is. I don't believe this is done yet. Oxygen protocol perpetual futures. Still a long way to go, right? I mean, this is way below these levels. This was one of the most dumped protocols. Just crazy, crazy, crazy down. But once again, I mean, you do have huge opportunity here just in capturing what could be up here. First potential level of resistance for Oxygen, somewhere around $2.10. We are getting close there, but once again, I really would like to see a return to the mean. This is where the meat and the volume profile is. We got the point of control up here, yearly volume weighted average price. Talking about $3 in this guy right here. Oh, Step has been an absolute animal, hasn't it? Good Step perp right here. Wow. I mean, yeah. From 0.15 to, at the peak, 80 cents. And Step was one of those that just listed and was like fucking down only, you know, just going out forever. You know what, I'm not a big fan of the way this looks. Because we have 2 attempts now to push this upside here, to follow through on this momentum. And in both of these attempts, you've got this long wick and skinny body. I mean, just basically denoting that somebody's shorting here, rejection. The interesting thing here is it looks like people might be shorting this point of control here in the volume profile, the meat of this volume profile. The most interesting thing I think that Step could do, because, you know, we did form a pretty nice base down here, would be to fill in this gap. So if we get a real dump on Step, I'd be looking as, you know, 35 cents or so as support, you know, in a range between 35 and 50 cents. Before, you know, we find some legs and, you know, maybe we're able to come retest this VWAP at some point. The interesting thing is this -1 sigma level, we have reclaimed that. But at the same time, there's been a lot of volume on this. We've really starting to drag this VWAP down. You know, I am curious where this will end up being if we do decide to fill this in. The volume bars on the right are volume profile. It's just a horizontal representation of volume. It shows you how much volume has occurred at different price levels rather than in a specific time interval. Yeah, something could be up here because it's awfully strange. I mean, Step was like the redheaded stepchild of all these Solana ecosystem coins. I mean, people hated this shit. It was a meme. Why did they hate it? Because it was down only, literally. It's anybody that bought, especially there's people that bought Step at $6. Oh, new Sam coin on the block. Let's buy it. You know, but from $6 to 17 cents. I mean, just a huge yikes there, right? Another really popular coin, Cope. Now, Cope's an interesting one, and you can see here too, and very clearly, obviously rejected. Cope's one of the more popular coins among different influencers and people on social media. They're working on some cool stuff, and it kind of became a meme just because it was performing so well. It was one of the later things to dump. A lot of people that had this bag thought they were safe. It dumped. This was just a painful grind to zero. Going to zero, right? I saw the posts. Smack. Look at this. Boom recovery, but rejected at this yearly volume weighted average price. And you can see this yearly volume weighted average price in terms of an uptrend, an actual uptrend, making new all-time highs, riding this to glory. We have been rejected at this price for now. Pretty strong rejection. Somebody sold. But we did reclaim an important level. And this is this -1 sigma level. You can see here, when we had this initial breakdown from the VWAP, this is where we stopped. We broke down from there as well. And you can see when we flipped this -1 sigma level, we had some taps right here. We've gotten rejected at the VWAP, but potentially the best case scenario for something like Cope would be to have this $2.30 resistance. Maybe Cope is similar to Step, to where we kind of work on filling this in before we move up. That's definitely a possibility. Well, the volume weighted average price, I like it over something like the EMA because the volume weighted average price is representative of how much of this asset was actually traded at specific levels, which I think gives you a better picture on actual demand and supply levels than something like just an EMA, which just shows you, how the price has evolved over time. It doesn't give you any kind of measure of, where the liquidity was, that kind of thing, which is really important. Yeah, the render chart is sick. We'll look at render. Render is a Sam coin now, apparently. I'm not 100% sure if they've announced it or not. Expect perp listings and shit like that on render. But check this out. In terms of everything, this is actually kind of clean. So what we're actually seeing right here, once again, we've got this yearly VWAP and the standard deviation bands. And you can see that they're great levels, right? Really, really nice levels. And they adapt and evolve over time on their own. We flipped this -1 sigma level right here before blast off. And we have reclaimed this yearly volume weighted average price, which is important. Granted, I don't think that the full history of this coin is here. So that is something to keep in mind. Let's see if we can find one that does have more history. We could do render wrapped ether, which is really interesting. We see what down here could be some kind of accumulation zone on render, still below the yearly VWAP in terms of where it is, relative to Ethereum. But this looks good, and if it's going to be a Sam coin now, and if you're able to get it at a discount, I'm always about that. The other Sam coin you will look at, of course, being Ren today. Alameda literally acquired Ren, whatever the fuck that means. Bit different levels here, but you can see, we have pushed above this yearly volume weighted average price. It's going to be really important for us to hold on. I do think render has better, more volume on Huobi. Huobi. Oh, what the fuck am I doing? Render. Oh, and we've actually got this render Ethereum pair on Huobi as well. I mean, I really, really like this. You got this, I like to call it a launch pad down here. You got it pressing against this volume weighted average price. And really the most important thing, especially for Ethereum-based DeFi right now, we want to see things that look good versus Ethereum. Because otherwise, why would I just buy Ethereum? If whatever I'm going to buy is going to be outperformed by Ethereum, it just makes more sense to just buy Ethereum instead, right? Are we dumping? Yeah, we are. Yep. So I've actually got a GAN fan drawn here. We have broken down on Ethereum right here. Now we are dumping. Let's gross. All right, let's look at DeFi perp divided by ETH perp. Because why be in DeFi if Ethereum's gonna outperform, right? That makes no sense. Especially during a dump. Fuck, yeah. Let's be exposed to the asset that underperforms Ethereum while Ethereum's going down. It just doesn't seem that smart. So what we're looking at right here looks pretty good. We see this kind of descending wedge. We've got this big node down here. Every single time that the ratio of most of this DeFi stuff gets down to here versus Ethereum, we have some kind of reaction. You can see that here. You can see that here. You've got a wick down into this area and a reaction to the upside. You can see that here, where we bounced right here. And you can also see that here, where we are now bouncing again. Now, we also have this kind of structure. We've got this trend line that we've broken above. It does appear that we might have seen the bottom of DeFi versus Ethereum, at least, and the DeFi will be something that outperforms Ethereum. Now, somebody mentioned something important earlier that I want to bring up, and that's, okay, DeFi does look good versus Ethereum for the time being, right? But what is the actual narrative here? Why would DeFi pump right now? What's going to cause rotation in that sector? And I do think that the answer to that question is going to be things like optimism and Arbitrum. We do see finally now, and teams have been building out on both of these layer 2s for a minute. We are going to see finally the ability for us to operate and do DeFi stuff on Arbitrum and optimism. All right, hold on, guys. Got to get them. Yeah, I'm still watching. What are you talking about? So we really need to see a situation here to where we, all the stars align. We've got this narrative. We've got Arbitrum and optimism, and basically what that's going to allow is the OG DeFi experience is trash, right? Well, why is the OG DeFi experience trash? Well, because Ethereum's expensive, right? Nobody wants to pay $100 to make a trade. Nobody wants to pay $100 to make a trade. Nobody wants to see, nobody wants to sit there and wait forever for their transaction to go through. I mean, this is 2021, guys, right? There's better experiences out there. That's one of the reasons why Binance Smart Chain was so popular. It was really fast, and it didn't matter that it was centralized because people didn't give a shit. They just wanted a casino. They wanted a decentralized casino, and they wanted it to work well, and they wanted it to be fast. People are just trying to make a buck out here, right? So that is something to consider here. Is just that Arbitrum and Optimism are going to allow the same kinds of things that we saw in Binance Smart Chain happen, but this time with that layer of decentralization, with the enhanced security that Ethereum provides, with cheap fees. I haven't looked at the spell chart. We will take a look at it a bit later in the stream. I've got a little bit of time here. I think we'll drag the stream out for a little bit. Just a reminder of the other content we have coming up. So I'm going to be doing a stream with Korean Jew later tonight. One of my favorite guys, bro. Met him in Miami. He's cool as fuck. Met his wife too. Very, very nice. So we're gonna be doing a stream with Korean Jew later tonight. We've got DeltaFi tomorrow. That's gonna have me, Random Tass, Rob Levy, and then on Thursday we're gonna do a Spaces. Time TBD. We're gonna do a Spaces though, and we're gonna talk about just whatever. Maybe DeFi, maybe options. I don't fucking know. We'll figure it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this on the line chart. It's just gonna simplify this whole process of drawing these trend lines and shit. You can see here, hey, guess what? Ethereum or DeFi is broken out versus Ethereum, and we've got a good reason for that too. A, why not burn a lot of fucking Ethereum and pump Ethereum? And B, finally, Arbitrum and Optimism, which are really gonna open the doors to people having fun in DeFi for the first time. Now, somebody mentioned something earlier too that I want to touch on, is the regulatory concerns regarding DeFi. Does that make DeFi something that is sketched to hold right now? In my opinion, the answer is no. Here's the reason. Okay. Any kind of regulatory action that comes in that ruins DeFi, or not ruins it, but adds new layers to what we actually like what we actually need to be mindful of in the DeFi ecosystem, is going to take a while to go into effect. So it doesn't matter if DeFi is longer term potential bearish, has those potential longer term risks, if the casino is still open, is the point I'm trying to make. So that's the thing. And Paul, I don't think that that's an accurate assessment in terms of Ethereum DeFi is trash and Solana DeFi is not. Now, Solana does enable a lot of DeFi things, that aren't possible with Ethereum. One of the really interesting things about Solana is everything's layer one, and we can have that composability and shared liquidity, like all the stuff that makes DeFi great, happen on layer one. It's just efficient, it works, it's fast, etc., right? Which is great. Oh my God. Sorry guys, I've got the worst sunburn on my nose and it's itching so bad right now. It's like so bad, I put like lotion and shit on it and like stings. Yeah, I've still got my synthetics for now. But we haven't seen the potential of Ethereum DeFi yet, literally. The potential of Ethereum-based DeFi is unlocked with Arbitrum and Optimism. And Arbitrum at least, is coming in August. That's in the next 2 weeks. So I do think that could be a huge catalyst for DeFi. Huge catalyst for DeFi. So our other DeFi perp, we want to check it out versus Ethereum, of course. A little bit different structure here. And I actually really do like this structure. And the trend line isn't as clean. Like we don't have this big diagonal or whatever. But what we do have is what appears to be some kind of accumulation bottom forming. The big thing here will of course be watching this and seeing if we can actually break this structure to the upside. I'd like to see both of these be broken out and be signaling upside. Not just one of them. But you can see here, the different DeFi seasons. I guess they created this at the, very end of DeFi summer. When did DeFi summer end? Sometime in August, September? I can't even fucking remember. It's been so long. Now, another thing. Let's check out DeFi perp versus Bitcoin. Oh, this is the FTX version. I've got a fan drawn on this. Love my fans. You guys know that. It's really interesting. We see this same structure that we've seen on so many different things. 1, 2, 3. We do have a break from this structure, a retest, and now we're pushing upside. For right now, I think this is a bit harder of a read than the DeFi perp versus Ethereum. We've also got DeFi USDT perp, that's the Binance version, divided by BTC perp. And we're seeing kind of a similar situation here. Right, we see this breakout of the structure, we see a nice clean retest, and we can see this pushing up. That doesn't mean that it just goes to all-time high, goes to infinity. Maybe it does, I hope it does. That's not what this means. We are seeing the green light pretty much everywhere though. Once again, watching that DeFi USDT perp versus ETH perp, that's kind of like the final boss. We'll see. We broke 45. All right, let's look at FTT. Okay, FTT at $40. Book it. FTT at $40 would be the reload zone for this if FTT were to have some large scale bounce. Let's check out FTT and CoinGecko. FTT is actually something I've been wanting to add to my portfolio. Yeah, that's what at the beginning of the stream I was talking about, like this whole Afghan war, whatever, coming to a conclusion. I'm not really sure how that's going to impact the market. Is it going to be a party pooper or what? FTT here. Where can we see the ranking on this? Number 34. FTT price $43.95 right now. About a $5 billion market cap, which I think should be much higher. $800 billion in trading volume. FTT is a fucking steal right here. I think at around $40. That's that yearly volume weighted average price. We did manage to reclaim that yearly volume weighted average price. One of the really interesting things about FTT is, man, this shit can just perform in all conditions. It doesn't have to be DeFi season. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin season. It doesn't have to be Ethereum season. As long as something's trading, as long as, we do have volatility, as long as FTX continues to grow, FTT can continue to grow as well. Now, the difference between FTT and BNB is that FTT doesn't have the utility that BNB has. So let's take a look at BNB here in a minute. Once again, around $40 in FTT, I think would be a fantastic entry. It's something I'm looking to add to my portfolio. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to have to rotate here and make this happen. So let's check out BNB. We got the BNB perp right here. So once again, really, really interesting. BNB perp. This yearly volume weighted average price being over this indicated that this uptrend, and this served as support in multiple instances. It also served as resistance here and here, but it does appear that we have this SR flip right here. Now Binance, there's been like some sketchy shit coming out about Binance recently. I'm a little bit more hesitant to buy Binance-based products or things like that just because of this information. But once again, I'm not an insider. That could be FUD. Where do you buy FTT? Is FTT on 1inch by chance? Let's see here. Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing is it doesn't appear that FTT is extremely liquid. One of the things you could do though, yeah, you could buy wrapped FTT on the Solverse. You said Matcha is better for FTT. Let's check out Matcha. So on 1inch, for $100,000 of USDC, you're getting 2,128 FTT tokens. I would imagine that that'll be similar or worse on this. Yeah, it's about the same. You're still just, I mean, for smaller order sizes, sure, but for any kind of size, that's gonna be sus. It's gonna be sketch. So here's the thing right here, right? One thing that you could do to load a bigger bag on this FTT token, one thing that I might be interested in doing, would just be setting a limit order, and you can do that on Matcha or 1inch. You can set that limit order, and then you can let that limit order be filled, through arbitrage opportunities for these on-chain keepers. That's a way that you can acquire size. I might set a limit order at 40 or 39 or something like that, and hope that I can get that size filled. Now, the unfortunate thing about that is, you'd have to exit in the same manner. So you gotta enter into downside strength and exit into upside strength. Now, a couple of folks have been talking about the dollar right now. Yeah, a bit of a dollar pump today. It's probably responsible for some of this crypto downside. Let's change this to the weekly view. So of course, I mean, there's a lot of fucking shit right here that we have to get over and overcome. Once again, I don't know how this whole situation, you know, with us being out of Afghanistan or whatever, you know, how that's going to affect the dollar's strength relative to other currencies. But we do have a lot to overcome. You know, if the dollar were to go up, you know, we also do have a major resistance cluster around 94, 95. That could be responsible for a temporary pullback in crypto. Was the indicator that I had? I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. So here, you know, we've got this structure right here, this kind of ascending wedge. You know, we broke down, we found support at this level, right, which has served as support multiple times here. Little SR right here, here. And then we were rejected at this level. So not only do we have to kind of overcome this level, but we've got to get above this as well. But if I go ahead and just kind of remove this from the equation, you know, and we go back to that weekly, you know, what does this look like here? You know, we've got this diagonal here, and we do have a breakout of the dollar versus this diagonal. Now I can fuck around, do some fuckboy shit for a while. You know, maybe it comes down here, maybe it comes up here. We do have this breakout, which is a little sketch. Not gonna lie. We also have green here on crayons, indicative of a dollar uptrend. Definitely something that could rain in our crypto parade, right? But at the same time, I mean, there's been instances like, for example, here, and this is why I don't think it's so cut and dry. There's been instances here, and this is from January to March, which is really where DeFi ripped face. That's, you had all the Binance Smart Chain shenanigans. You had major DeFi shenanigans. You had a lot of things pumping. And guess what? The dollar was marking up. You know, we took the dollar here from 89.5 all the way to 93.4. So almost a 4-point rise in the dollar relative to other currencies. And this is where everybody made all their money, right? Which is super interesting. So I don't think that this is like an end all be all. You know, I don't think I can look at this and I can say, hey, you know, if the dollar pumps to 94 right here, that crypto is going to get smoked. You know, just something to be mindful of. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'm not too concerned about it yet. So somebody mentioned oil earlier. You know, we absolutely do have a breakdown on oil, which is interesting. You know, just something once again to be mindful of, and a good spot for this to top as well. I'm not an expert in these things. I'm just looking at the chart. And then SPX 500 USD and Awanda. So I do have this yearly VWAP on this as well. This yearly volume weighted average price has served as a support level several times. We are quite a ways above that. It is interesting, you know, because we made all-time highs yesterday on this. We are dumping a bit today, but it does seem so far that we are looking at some kind of support resistance flip. Now I've got a GAN fan drawn on this, and it's an interesting fan. Because I think that the stock market is absolutely out of fucking control right here. I mean, if you look at this chart, especially on longer time frames, I mean, this shit only goes up. Look at the stock market since 2008. I mean, it's just been going fucking crazy, right? I mean, when is it going to stop? So the next actual GAN level that we have up here, which is something that comes into play, you know, if we were able to break a GAN level to the upside, and you can see that we've been confined in this GAN level for years and years and years, is actually really high. I don't know when we hit it, but you know, 7, 8,000, maybe 9,000 by 2024, 10,000. It's high up here. And if we're going to see a big stock market bubble, why not see a big crypto bubble as well? You know, I think if the stock market's going to be healthy, if the stock market's going to be up only, if the stock market can perform, then crypto will perform too. I still think that crypto is mainly a risk asset. Something interesting that I want to pull up: Coinbase. We've seen people like Cathie Wood, you know, ARK Invest, buying Coinbase. Now, Coinbase, not the best day today. So something interesting about Coinbase, we do have this volume weighted average price for the year, and you can see that served as resistance right here. So something I'm interested in buying. I think Coinbase is a great bet on crypto as a whole. This is post-market. Post-market is 265. It does look like this has recovered a bit. Ethereum 3038. See how my shitcoin bags are holding up. You know, Spell pulling back a bit versus Ethereum. You know, maybe we get some kind of trendline retest here and blast off. Not 100% sure about that. But mostly on my bags, I'm looking at these yearly VWAP reclaims. You know, here's one for Keep, which is something that I bought that I just felt like not anybody had. You know, Keep still green on the 3-day. Still green on the daily. Still above this yearly VWAP. It was resistance for a while. We broke above it. Can we retest it, claim that as support, and blast off from here? We'll see. So Keep. There's some other stuff. I guess we'll just use this frame to do all this. Bond. It's again looking pretty good here. We are over this yearly volume weighted average price. We definitely have this big volume uptick here. We're still green kind of across the board. While we're seeing Ethereum dumping, we're seeing DeFi performing against Ethereum, which is really interesting, especially with these catalysts that we have coming up. So what other kind of shit am I on? Let's synthetics, check that out. Yeah, synthetics taking a bit of a shit right here. That's nice. Pull these quarterly VWAPs off. So synthetics never quite made it back to this yearly VWAP. I still do think it will. In terms of support, I would mainly be looking at somewhere around here. At this +1 sigma level, you really want about $10 to hold on synthetics. Let's just look at some of the other, major DeFi pairings. Oh, bunch of shit drawn on this. Compound reclaimed that yearly VWAP. You can see once again significant. 1, 2, 3, 4. Support resistance flip right here. Rejected, tried to reclaim. That swing failure acting as resistance. We popped above it, and here's like the moment of truth, right? Because here we are, we're sitting at around 440 bucks. We're on the cusp, we're on the verge of a breakdown here. You go to indicators and you type in VWAP. And then you click VWAP under built-ins. And then once you've clicked VWAP, you're going to need to come here and configure it so that the anchor period is yearly and quarterly are my favorite. And then I've had multiple versions of it, so I can have +1 and +2 sigma levels from the volume weighted average price, which you can see here are useful as well. Yeah, it's a trading view built-in. So compound, once again, are we dumping right here? Yeah, but we're still above this VWAP. So again, peep it, DeFi perp. See, check this out. Once again, we're on this yearly VWAP right here. You know, if we lose this level right here, the odds are that you're going to be able to buy this DeFi shit a bit lower. We are going to have a bit of a correction. So maybe something like that even. In terms of how much this actually corrects, let's see here. It could be about a 30% correction, you know, if we came back down to this -1 sigma level. But for now, we're still looking okay. The idea here is to not panic until it's time to panic. So we're still looking okay for now. I'm not going to panic until we do actually break down, which, hey, that could happen any moment here, right? Any moment. So need to be on your toes here. Okay. Not a huge fan of this, so I've actually got a trend line drawn on Curve, which I picked up as my biggest bag just because they had the first instance ever of Curve emissions decreasing. I've got this trend line drawn on the 3-day chart, and you can see, you know, we had this breakout right here. It does look like we've lost that. The main thing for here that I'm going to be looking at as support on Curve would be somewhere in the $1.70 level. Even then, I'm not trying to hold like -15, 20%. Like if this DeFi shit, if it does break down as a whole, then it's going to be something I want to sell and then, you know, rebuy, get those bigger bags. BTC perp. Okay, I mean, guys, look, see, moment of truth. Does 44.7 hold, or does it not? Let's look at the hourly. And if you look at the hourly, you can already see a reaction here at this yearly VWAP level. Now, it's not a strong reaction yet, but that's where this stopped. And you can see this wick right through this yearly VWAP. And you can see locally, I mean, look at this shit. This means something, right? Up, 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 down. Here we are again. You know what happens this time? You know, do we go down here and do another one of these? Just something to be mindful of. Well, once again, just something to remember, and this is really interesting to me. The volume weighted average price for the year on most perp products is going to be around 44.7. But if I look at it right here, it's a bit lower. As long as Bitcoin remains strong over 43, I still think that the bullish case is valid for all of this shit. Much lower. Ethereum 2400 on the perps. And 2060 on spot. But we've already made it past this 1 sigma level on Ethereum. So that's something, you know, 2800 or so on Ethereum would be the area that I would be looking at, you know, with interest. But this is absolutely broken down right now. Like let's not get it twisted. Today's daily closes are going to be pretty important. You know, are we going to manage to rally? Are we going to manage to reclaim these structures? Are we going to break down? You know, what exactly is happening right here? But here's the thing. If DeFi is bullish versus Ethereum, if things are bullish versus Ethereum, if Ethereum can just come down here and just cool its jets for a little bit, that's what's going to really give us some opportunity. We say markets are tanking, but I'm not seeing that quite yet. I'm seeing early signs that we need to be paying attention, and if it is time to panic, like I was talking about earlier, you got to be the first guy to panic instead of the last. We've looked at BPro in previous streams, and it does look good, but it's so illiquid. It's just, it's something I don't want to put a lot of focus on. You can find that on a product like DEX.vision. Oh shit. It's not on DEX Vision, so ChartX Pro is another one. I mean, I do like the chart. I mean, we're looking at something, that could be in its disbelief phase right here. But once again, this is super liquid, so it's kind of a difficult thing to assess, a difficult thing to judge. I mean, this is what disbelief looks like, though. Look, we spent all of this time down here from the end of May through August. We spent all of this time down here. We've finally broken out of this range. And yeah, do we have some bearish divergence here or whatever? Sure. But this is something, I really want to see do that. Does that mean it has to do it? No. But in terms of the structure, I just, I like it. Let's check out some CoinTrader Pro. Look at a few different things. Ren's fucking, right? Ren looks pretty good. Nice GAN fan I've got drawn here. We break above this line, and we have strength. The next level would be around $1 for Ren. Man, kicking myself for not buying it at 30 cents, but it is what it is. We are seeing, though, with these breakouts, just like Bitcoin, Ethereum, we can see it on this 20-period RSI down here, which is really interesting. CLV, I did hear that mentioned a couple times on Twitter yesterday. Is that Clover by chance? Yeah, it's got to be. Clover Finance, is it? It's got to be. Sitting here at rank 237, $200 million market cap. Circulating supply. There's a lot of supply not in circulation. That's always a bit sketch, but it really doesn't matter, especially if you're just picking this shit up for a quick flip. One of the really interesting things about this, though, is look, it really hasn't gone up all too much from its base, from the bottom. And we've really seen a significant share of volume kick in. I don't even know what the fuck this is, but I'm always about finding new things, new gems. A foundational layer for cross-chain compatibility. Cross-chain definitely could be a major narrative in this next cycle. So this is interesting. They've got a threshold signature protocol. And that seems similar to, oh, that's pretty cool. This is similar to Keep Network, which also uses threshold signature schemes for private computing, cross-chain shit, whatever. Keep Network, USD. Yeah. Fuck. So we are seeing a breakout here, right? And a potential throwback to this trend line that we've broken out of on the RSI. And we're seeing the same thing, a breakout here, potential throwback to this trend line. You know what, though, if Ethereum nukes, if Bitcoin nukes, look, we're going to lose it. But similar situation here. This uses threshold signatures as well. They're actually merging with NuCypher. And I think one of the guys that started NuCypher, it was the original guys behind Curve, which is really interesting. So I know this is like a really, really solid team. But maybe we could break back down into this area, around the 30-cent range, and then break out again. We've certainly seen fake outs here happen before. Take a look at LDO, shout out Crypto Cobain. Interesting product. Yikes, that's not a good look for sure at all. So for Lido, which is something highly desirable, they've got a ton of staked Ethereum and their power under their control. For Lido, I think getting Lido around $3 would just be that'd be fucking killer. But yeah, this is definitely something that's pulling back, and I would say even pulling back than the benchmark, pulling back more so than the majority of DeFi protocols. From the highs it made, Lido's already down 30%. So you could have an opportunity here to buy Lido down around 47% here. If we can even get down here, Lido $2.90. I'm loving it. Yeah, we'll take a look at Woo. Shout out Woo. A lot of good friends made their fortunes in Woo. Let's see what we're looking on here. So we do have a breakout in structure for Woo. You know, it's just totally something you want to see. Here's the concerning thing is that, you know, exactly where the breakout occurred. You know, can we see continuation or whatever? Sure. But this can also do something, you know, like that, or it could break back down. Who knows? So one of the fun things is, you know, sitting around and waiting. Right now, Woo looks fine. Once again, we're on the cusp of breakdowns. We just had breakouts. We could break down here. For Woo, I'm watching this 69. Literally 69, 420, like might be the spot to set bets on this. If you're a big Woo bull, you know, you think this is going up. Once again, let's look at this long-term RSI structure. And it does appear that we do have a breakout in this longer-term RSI structure, entering a new regime. Quite a ways to fall, you know, for us to actually find support here in terms of this diagonal. And actually, I'm going to even redraw this just because I think I can get a better fit here. Yeah. So you can see the breakout right here. Maybe we come down here, you know, and we're able to progress from that. Yep, still in Rook, 100%. Got a very large Rook position. Here's what we're looking at on Rook right now. So we had this structure, you know, that Rook was in for quite some time, and we broke this structure to the upside. Now I think that for Rook, it's looking like, you know, we could return to this structure again. And Rook for sure could have quite a ways to fall from here. If we were to you know, return all the way down to the structure, and what's interesting here is you can see a breakout right here when Rook was at 233 bucks or whatever. But we swing failure. That was a SFP. Support for Rook would be around 130 bucks. And you know what? If it got down there, I would probably I'd probably increase my position size. You know, I of course have huge regrets. You know, I wanted to make Rook a very large position. I sold like half my Rook down here at the bottom. I didn't believe the breakout was real. Rook's still a very big position. I probably would increase the ratio of that, you know, if we were able to even get down here. But that's a big if. You know, that's up in the air. Once again, more importantly though, we got to look at this shit versus Ethereum. And with this Ethereum chart, I think it provides a much clearer picture of, you know, what could be going on here. And I'll switch this to the line chart just so you guys can see it a little bit better, hopefully. And what you're seeing here, once again, is a fake out. A fake out. Now we're down again. You know, could we continue to move down, you know, make new lows here? Yeah. We could go down about 20% versus Ethereum right here. And that would still be within the structure. I don't know how this structure ends up resolving. It would be a bit suspicious to me if we spent all this time, this is from the end of May until now, in this structure and then broke down. That'd be a pretty sad situation, but I'm super bullish on Rook if you guys have kept up with him at all. You know, it's a good situation. Let's check out DeFi Pulse Index. You know, another index that could be indicative of, you know, the state of the DeFi market as a whole. And once again, the DeFi Pulse Index does look like that it got up here to resistance. It's been rejected for the time being. Maybe DeFi Pulse Index is not comprised of holdings as strong as the other ones. But once again, let's look at the big picture here. And you can see this 20-period RSI, and you've got this channel, right? And we spent time in this channel from really the top until now, until this bottom. We've broken out of this channel. You know, we're going to be looking at around the 50 level to be holding for RSI. MPL, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. We'll check out MPL. Is that Maple Finance? Check out Maple versus USD. That just doesn't look very liquid. And I don't know what the fuck. I hate structures like this because it's difficult. Yeah, I'm very bullish on Spell. Spell is something that I'm more like, you know what, my other DeFi holdings, I'd love them to go up. You know, Spell is like one of my gem bags. You know, I think Spell has a lot of potential for upside. And it doesn't matter. Look, I got my Spell pretty cheap. For Spell, it's more something that I'm just going to be holding and waiting on, rather than, you know, trying to be crafty, trying to be smart, trying to play these levels. With Spell, I'm just kind of holding that shit and seeing what happens. I think Spell is a really interesting new product, and just in terms of somebody doing something new, somebody creating a new DeFi primitive, that's how I see Spell. If it becomes something that's integrated in a lot of places, Curve, Sushi allows you to leverage your yield farming positions, allows you to leverage your trading positions. And then two, the fact that Magic Internet Money is Spell's version of DAI, like, that's just hilarious to me. I think it's got a lot of meme potential and a lot of potential within the ecosystem as well. So you can see Curve here too. You know, really long-term RSI channel, and this channel has been something that's been in development since really what was the top of DeFi, right? Where are we in terms of this DeFi shit right now? I think Curve is a great example of that. Right here. If this is the disbelief phase, we're absolutely right here. And what you'll see is a reaction to this dump is kind of the final shakeout. You should see some good upside after this, if we are in disbelief. Now, of course, the alternative to that is ugly, where you're seeing really this being the end of the anger phase of the markets, and you know, we could come down here, spend some time around $1. That would certainly be real ugly. Sushi swap. Really nice GAN fit here. I like it. Once again, you know, here's something that we're seeing in all of this shit. These longer term RSI trends are broken out. You know, we've entered a new regime here. This is just supporting evidence to where this is actually disbelief other than a continuation of the downtrend, because we've broken these trends. We'll check out inverse. We're gonna chart a lot of shitcoins, guys. I've got 10 more minutes. We're gonna rapid fire chart shitcoins. Now for Sushi, this would be the ideal balancing point right here. Picking up some Sushi around $10.50. I think if this is in fact what we're looking at, if this is continuation, that's the A1 move. Anywhere around $10.50. Inverse finance, I assume, is what you're talking about. So inverse finance, I think here's the issue with some of these things. With this DeFi kind of shit, you know, you really want to see interest in it, and that interest is expected and expressed in terms of volume. Not only, you know, do I want to see this accumulation range, potential accumulation range right here, where the trend has shifted. It's not in a downtrend right now. We've kind of been going sideways for a bit. I want to see volume coming in. I want to see that people are interested in that. We do see a bit of that here. You know, you can see it here. There's somebody buying this. There's somebody accumulating it. But with a DeFi protocol, you also want to see that that protocol is gaining traction. You want to see TVL growth. It's not just about the chart here. I do think DeFi protocols have a strong reliance on fundamentals. Something to be mindful of. Now, inverse finance could have fantastic fundamentals, but at the same time, we do want to see that people are adopting it, that the TVL is growing, et cetera, et cetera. We don't have enough time to actually get into that today. Look at MPH, old flame of mine. Would not be opposed to getting into MPH. Really, really good example of something that could end up being the disbelief phase, you know, of this chart right here. So, you know, we do have this RSI breakout once again, which is something we've seen in a lot of places. Here we come. For MPH, you know, maybe something in this range right here. If you could get around 40 bucks, that would probably be ideal. If I could get this damn thing to stick. Not really sure what this one does from here. You know, once again, number one concern, MPH has been around for a minute, and, you know, there were flaws with the original product, just in terms of ease of use, et cetera, but fixed rates aren't something that have caught on a lot on MPH. And with MPH, you know, I haven't seen that TVL growth yet, but that's something that definitely could kick in once that V3 version comes out, and once they get integrated with more protocols, et cetera, et cetera. I do think CMS is still a big MPH bull, or at least their holdings suggest that. Somebody said the chart versus Ethereum looks good. I agree. I like that. I like that a lot. But once again, you know, I do want to see volume confirmation. I'm not seeing a huge uptick in demand and volume here. And that's something that could come in. But if we are able to break out versus Ethereum, that'd be fantastic. You're seeing a lot of these DeFi charts right now looking interesting versus Ethereum. And this certainly does look very interesting versus Ethereum. And yes, CMS has connections. They've got, you know, people they can bring in. They can boost that TVL up. Shout out Machi Big Brother from Cream. Kind of do or die right here for Cream. Not do or die, but I'll explain this in just a second. So we've got this structure for right here for Cream, and Cream has broken this to the upside. Right now, we're looking at what could potentially be a support resistance flip right here. Really strong product offerings coming out of Cream, though. Definitely something that's got a lot of interest from people, something that could be around for a long time. So with Cream, if I was looking to be a Cream bull and entered here, I'd be looking around 175. I think would be just a fantastic entry. Of course, Badger, really interesting. Another old flame. 3 Arrows Capital made a big investment in them. Badger does look like it's got a bit of a correction in store from it. I think 3AC buying a lot, and that news and you know all that shit did cause a much larger than deserved spike here. Let's look at some of the levels. A lot of strength in Badger, of course. But the real question, you know, where do we buy this shit? I think this could be an interesting level here. Maybe somewhere around 16 bucks. You know, if shit were to get real bad, like maybe somewhere around 12. But it is really interesting to see Three Arrows buying so much of it. Like, do you guys fucking know something? You know, I know that there's some kind of thing with fire blocks going on in there. My buddy Chart Simpson's been talking about Badger for a while on Twitter. Interesting though. Look, Three Arrows came in and literally like bought a fucking ton of this, and I would imagine that their price is somewhere around in this region. So if they think buying millions of dollars of Badger is a good idea, and they think buying it here is a good idea, then fuck, you know, why wouldn't we as well? No, I'm not going to talk about, like, guys, I'm not going to talk about NFTs. It's just not my thing. You know, I can't provide you any good intel on that. It's just not something that I'm good at, not something I do. Badger, let's look at Badger versus Ethereum and versus Bitcoin. Check this out. I don't know where the fuck that line came from. I mean, woof, this volume speaks volumes. I'll tell you that much. This is Badger versus Ethereum. You know, it's actually been one of the stronger performers versus Ethereum. Just in terms of support, though, I like this level a lot for Badger. I think you could come in and steal Badger at, you know, 0.0059 or so. And then Badger versus Bitcoin. The fuck? I was about to say that's not the full history right there. Yeah, somewhere in this area. I think I like a lot. Then again, you know, if this is super strong, like maybe it bounces right here, you know, and we can continue. Just things to be on the lookout for. In terms of a top, this is just a really interesting top because, you know, we really didn't have, you know, much in the form of divergences or momentum exhaustion or anything. It just kind of went up and now it's coming down. So yeah, I mean, look, guys, if DeFi is gonna fuck, Badger is extremely strong, and you know, I do think that Three Arrows punting on Badger suggests that, you know, they're of the mind that DeFi can really rip right here. Oh, if you invert the Bitcoin chart, we're mooning, yeah. But interesting, volume speaks volumes. ICE, of course, Popsicle Finance is something I've been interested in for a while. One of the issues with Popsicle, though, of course, is that Popsicle got hacked. The same big dog dev of Spell is the same guy with Popsicle. The Popsicle shit didn't affect Spell at all, but I do think Popsicle could have more downside, you know, while they figure their shit out. I do think that the managed liquidity narrative on Uniswap v3 is one to pay attention to, and there's a couple of different projects that are working on that. You've got Popsicle, you've got I think Visor. And I think that there was another one that I saw yesterday. I can't quite remember the name. So if you guys can remember that name, you know, that'd be pretty useful. But we could be looking at some significant downside when it comes to Popsicle, and really that's just due to it being a newer product and this loss of confidence due to the hack. You've already had this initial dump compared to the hack, and it's really just kind of been flatlined ever since. Popsicle is something that's super unique. It's innovative, and it's something I'm paying attention to. But you know, once again, I'm not in too much of a hurry to get in Popsicle. It's just something I'm watching. Tokamak isn't on here yet. I know there's other places to chart it. X token. Oh, X token's pretty interesting. I mean, I like that. I like that a lot. Now, if I'm not misunderstanding this, X token is something that like manages your staking positions and things like that, you know, for various protocols like synthetics for Bancor. So this is something that could be interesting here. Once again, I'm not seeing like a lot of volume confirmation come in, and I do think that this is a pretty low market cap. 855. I mean, if you're looking for something that's a gem, this is interesting. $16 million market cap. There is still a lot of supply that's off the market. I need to do a deeper dive. I don't really understand the value accrual mechanisms, why the token's valuable at all, those kinds of things. Check back on Ethereum, Bitcoin. Let's get the scoop here. Check this out. Like it, like it, like it. Look, we get a reaction right here. DeFi perp is showing strength above this yearly volume weighted average price, which is something that is really interesting and something that I'm looking at. See, Tokamak, I love the fundamentals. I love the backers. It's a great project, but there's just not enough chart history to do that. So check it out. XTK is certainly interesting. I like the chart. Not a lot of volume confirmation. That's something that's a little suspicious, but just in terms of the chart of what could be like the disbelief phase, like, man, if there is a chart that represents that, I think this represents that idea quite well. Indexed finance, another interesting one. I've seen a couple of big VC wallets that have index finance positions. Interesting. You know, I'm not super excited about that, but you know, it is interesting, something to be mindful of. And let's just check this out. And the RSI speaks volumes. We've got this breakout and retest right here. You know, this, what we're seeing right now really could be that bear trap, you know, before we really move up. So it's either that or we're continuing and we're going to go lower. I mean, this is a pretty important inflection point. Index, interesting though. Balancer, which they've released their new version of Balancer, solved a lot of issues, can serve kind of as an index product. Balancer's an interesting one, you know, broken out of this long-term RSI channel again. You know, hit this resistance level and so far been rejected. Maybe Balancer, if we do have some kind of significant pullback, interesting level I'd be looking at is maybe around 22, 21 bucks. Once again, though, what's it look like versus Ethereum? What's it look like versus Bitcoin? Now, this is Balancer versus Ethereum, and I mean, fuck, it's like a lot of this DeFi shit. The chart is just smoked. Let's draw some memes here. So here's your meme. You know, we've broken out of that. We've broken out of this structure. We get this across September 11th or so. And now we can draw this as well. Check it out versus Bitcoin. I like this chart a lot versus Bitcoin. Nice floor here. No, we're pushing up. Chart looks a lot better versus Bitcoin, you know. One of these index products are really going to take off and be huge. I'm betting on Balancer as mine. But if we were to return to the top of this structure right here versus Bitcoin, I mean, and let's say this occurs by October, you're looking at something, you know, that could perform, like get you maybe a 2-3x versus Bitcoin, somewhere in that range. And if we were to break out of this, of course, you know, further upside, but you know, this has been pretty significant, pretty solid here. Yeah, we'll look at Ohm. People have been asking for Ohm for a minute. That's Olympus. Oof. I mean, guys, this just doesn't look that great. Just doesn't look that great. You know, with all these algorithmic stablecoin Ponzi's, there's a lot of money to be made, but you need to play the game and you need to play it well and you need to play it right. And you got to know when to get out too. Not a huge fan of the way this looks. A lot of times when these algorithmic stable Ponzi's really perform is when the rest of DeFi isn't. You know, that we saw that seigniorage trend at one point, you know, where you saw different kinds of shares and, you know, things like that, seigniorage share, whatever. We are on support right now, Olympus, Ohm versus the dollar, but, you know, once again, you know, this downtrend does look pretty aggressive. It certainly looks more aggressive than other things in DeFi. Not a good look. Ohm versus BTC. We're kind of at this inflection point with Ohm right now to where, why no Nansen? Bro, it's just, there's just so many charts to look at and there's just not enough time. You know, once we for sure, like, if this is like the disbelief phase, you know, and DeFi, and we're about to go nuts, we're gonna have more time to look at Nansen, because looking at these charts and you know, shit like that is not gonna be as important. But once again, look, Olympus DAO looks like, doesn't look great versus Bitcoin. You know, we could be about to make new lows versus Bitcoin. Enterprise discovery to the downside versus Bitcoin. The US dollar chart is the same way, and the Ethereum chart is the same way. So Ohm is do or die. Either Ohm's going to bounce right here, or we're going to make new lows versus Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the dollar, and we're going to go down. You know, it's kind of one or the other. And yeah, I mean, that's what I mean about these seigniorage, like stablecoin Ponzi's. There's situations where, you know, whales are getting a lot of ROI, and there's a right way to play these things. You know, buying the token isn't necessarily the way to play these stablecoin Ponzi's, with the expectation of buy low, sell high. There's a lot of gigabrain mechanics that come into this. So just be mindful of that. A lot of people have been talking about Nerve Finance this week, so I think it's worth taking a look at. Oof, wow, look at that shit. I mean, a lot of volume that came in right here. Really solid uptrend. We are pushing into, you know, what could be that first resistance level right here. But we'll see what happens. You know, of course, the RSI is in, you know, mega overbought territory. Definitely still room for this to run, especially right now when not everything's running. People get FOMO and they ape into shit like this. We're gonna get Dance in the Ape suit again. Just give this a little time. You know, we'll see what happens. I do think Arbitrum becoming open to the public, you know, could be a real catalyst for some of this shit. Nerve looks good, guys. But once again, Nerve is pushing into what could be resistance. So even Nerve, something like that, could pull back. If anything, these things that have performed really well are more susceptible to pullbacks, because, you know, we start letting off the gas a little bit, and there's going to be people that are profit taking and shit like that. We're pushing down. We're testing the waters. Strong reaction here so far. We're gonna make another go at it right here, it seems, on this hourly. We'll see what happens. There's no reason to sit here and you know, be a martyr for these bags. These bags ain't loyal. You know, there's no reason for you to be loyal either. Look at VSP. A couple of people have been asking for that. That's Vesper. So what Vesper could be doing is working on a bit of symmetry here. You know, I do see this often. You do see a little bit of a volume uptick here. Maybe this ends up looking, you know, something like this. For Vesper, if I was the biggest Vesper bull in the world, and I'm not, because I don't know too much about it. This is my research time, boys. Like, I'm trying to get educated here. You know, I would like to see Vesper hold around $6.20, and then I feel like we could really do something here. But there's a lot of opportunity out here. You know, you don't have to buy everything. Let's check out Vesper versus other shit. So the big question here, you know, and a possibility, something I could see happening. Either we make a new low right here. Let's say Vesper comes down to here versus Bitcoin. That would most certainly be a really nice bullish divergence. Give us a launch pad for this bottom. So one possibility. Another possibility, you know, I'd be looking for would be for that double bottom. So either one of those is acceptable. And then finally, Vesper versus Ethereum, which is looking like it's kind of breaking down or working on that double bottom right now. Of course, absolutely fucking wrecked versus Ethereum. Big time wrecked versus Ethereum, right? Oh, we're not a Dopex competitor. I can chart them. You guys need to understand, we're making an institutional grade options product. And what we're doing is not even really similar to what they're doing. So once again, you know, if we do make new lows here versus Ethereum, something I could be looking out for would just be a retest of this. And if we made new lows here versus Ethereum, like one of the really interesting things about that would be that would definitely create bullish divergence here, give us kind of a launch pad, you know, that we can go from, and you know, we can get weird after that. Yeah, Hxro network is a Solana DeFi protocol. So Dopex, chart Dopex. Of course, you know, extremely obvious accumulation range right here. The trade on Dopex was to buy the break of this range, you know, and you can see that we broke right here. We had this candle with the wick down at the top of the range to kind of confirm that's at $153. And we rallied almost $500 after that. There's a couple things right here that I am seeing. You've got bearish divergence both when it comes to volume. Okay, so we've got a higher high right here on lower volume conditions. Still quite a bit of volume, you know, relative to what's been going on in here. And you also have a momentum divergence as well. So with Dopex, if I was super bullish on this, I would definitely be, you know, looking for entry maybe down here. That's at like the $225 range. You know, if I did think that this would continue. In terms of this daily structure, though, you know, you really don't want to be long after a daily candle like that. It just is what it is, you know, and sometimes the market can continue going up, but, you know, you got two forms of bearish divergence. You got this big, ugly daily candle, this huge rejection from these levels up here. I mean, on the fucking daily candle, we're down 20% already. So just something to be mindful of. I think Wyckoff's great, but I think Wyckoff is really susceptible to curve fitting as well. So just be mindful of that. Of course, you know, versus Ethereum, versus Bitcoin, it's all the same chart here. Okay, the same shit. Bear divs, insane rise. I mean, fucking fast, easy 5x if you bought down here. But you know, here's what it is. Check out RGT. So RGT here, a bit of a bear div up here at the top, ran into all of this shit, you know, served as resistance. Here's your area of interest. You know, we already broke out here. We got that SR flip right here. We moved up. Are we gonna come down here and retest this? You know, I think it's high probability. So maybe $8.20 or so for RGT, you know, may serve as a fantastic entry condition. But once again, you know, look at this shit. I think, yeah. Same kind of shit here. You know, we've got to break out of this kind of longer term RSI trend. And then even if I did this, of course, RGT, you know, got hacked. I was going to buy some RGT, but Tetranode didn't let it dump. And I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to get that deal on something. I don't want to buy something that some whale is supporting and not letting me get as cheap as possible. So maybe this is a good way to look at it. You know, a little bit of pullback, confirm that nice SR flip right there. Maybe we can go to the moon and beyond. You know, after that, we're gonna do like two more. We'll do UNN and Fold, and then I'm getting out of here. You guys can't catch me. We're gonna be streaming with KJ later tonight. Not 100% sure on the timing, and that's yet, but we'll let that out. UNN, Once again, not seeing a ton of interest here in terms of volume. There definitely is a bit, but here's your boss on UNN. You know, we're kind of range bound at the moment. And we've managed to reclaim this, but you know, what happens next is the real question. Folding coin? No. Folder protocol? Oh, you're talking Manifold. You gotta be. I think we already looked at Visor. Yeah, this looks like doo-doo right here. Rejected. Big rejection on that daily. You know, for Manifold, I'd mostly be interested in seeing, you know, if it can hold this level right here, and maybe I'll even do this. Yeah, I like that better. You can see that SR flip right here. Goes under. Nope, rejected. We're back above. I'd be waiting for this to come back down to around $9.60, which, you know, from top, looking at about a 50% pullback. So could be a bit painful. But in terms of just structure, everything that we've looked at, I'm really not liking how this daily was super FOMO and then super not. So if this is like the disbelief phase, this is a sucker's rally. We really want to see this come down, you know, retest this level, say, hey, you know, this is support here. You look good, we're good to go. Keep your eyes on this. DeFi perp, you can add this shit to your own chart and just see how we react here. Two things. One, not liking that. Look, tweezer top, so that is concerning. You've got these two wicks, that's what a tweezer top is. But we're above this important level. So the question is, who wins here? You know, do the bulls or do the bears win? So far, it's okay. But if we lose this yearly VWAP, that is concerning. Yeah, and look, COVID is, yeah, you're 100% right. COVID is something I'm still very mindful of, and it's something to pay attention to. I think it's something we need to watch. We don't know the economic impacts of this Delta variant wave. We don't know the economic impacts of, you know, the America pulling out of this Afghan war after 20 years. We just don't know. So the thing is, you know, and the unfortunate thing, if the stock market's going up, well, guess what? It kind of gives Bitcoin, crypto, we've had kind of like the green light to go up. If the stock market's going down, crypto's like, oh my God, you know, like we're going down too. Like we'll play along, we'll join you. So something to be mindful of, you know, if the stock market tanks trust, it's going to bring crypto down with it. And man, that would be really painful, you know, seeing Bitcoin, Ethereum, et cetera, like coming back down and you know, making new lows and all that. But it's not something I'm ruling out. Like right now, like I said earlier, it's like it's at an inflection point. It's either going to go up from now and we're in disbelief, or we're like at the end of some kind of anger phase, and you know, we're going to be, you know, blowing off here, and we're going to be going down. Something to be mindful of. Watch this yearly VWAP on DeFi perp. Watch those trend lines. We've broken this down. Weird. It's just weird structure here. Oh. So we got that structure. That structure's broken down, right? That's all she wrote. We've also got this structure, and this structure's broken down. So that's pretty solid, boys. Dual breakdown. For Ethereum, We want 2,800. 2,800 needs to be support. And then we can continue. If we lose 2,800, that's very sketchy in my book. And that opens the doors to some bullshit down here. That's not a situation I want to be seeing, but it's a possibility and I'm not ruling it out. So for me, I'm watching that yearly VWAP on DeFi perp, watching that yearly VWAP on Bitcoin perp and Bitcoin spot, Binance and FTX. We lose those shits and, you know, we poke up into them. It's real. It's a swing failure. I'm getting the fuck out of here. And I'm going to be in cash and, you know, I'll sit there and I'll wait for the good entry, you know, while everybody's coping. For right now, though, I'm cautiously optimistic. You know, let's strap in, see what happens. But do know that there are exit conditions here and I'm not trying to be a fucking bag holder, especially for an extended bear market. Especially. That's all I got for you guys today, though. Until later today with KJ. Keep an eye on my Twitter feed. We'll let you know when that's going to be. I'm not going to be there for long. Probably pop in for 30 minutes or so, just because I've already streamed for a long time today. You know, I don't want to stream for like 4 hours total today. That's just too much. Let's see here. As we conclude, as we get ready to leave. Yeah, keeps coming down to this VWAP on 35 cents. Gems typically hold up better when shit's dumping. It's just how it's been. What the fuck? I mean, okay then. That's so fucking random. I mean, okay. Apparently Bond is fucking mooning right now, while everything's dumping. That's weird. But okay, I'm about it. You know, let's fucking go. I don't know what the fuck's up with Bond, man. Oh, look at that. I gotta look at the full picture here. The barn bridge, USD. Yeah. I mean, for Bond, let's see. This chart is just fucking weird, dude. Because you got this thing, this abomination up here. Let's look at the weekly, maybe give some cleaner levels. Definitely have the volume coming in on Bond. Got a Binance listing, Coinbase listing. I mean, whatever. If Bond wants to moon, then I'm about it. Probably look at you know, we are pushing into resistance, right? We do have this kind of diagonal breakout. Once again, the structure's a bit fucking odd, but you know, for Bond, I'd be looking at some resistance around 42 or whatever. And you know, if we manage, look, there's horizontal confluence too. If we manage to get above this, then you know, send it. But we'll see what happens here. Yeah, weird, whatever. You know, does it make any sense? No, but whatever. Barn bridge. Don't chase. But, you know, we've been talking about Bond here for a minute. I think I got in Bond around 25 bucks, 26 bucks. So if this shit wants to give me a 2x or whatever right now, I'll take it. And, you know, I'll look for other opportunities to roll into. we'll see what happens. But anyway, I'm for real out for now. Be safe. Good luck out there, and don't be a bag holder. Have a plan. Have an area to exit, a reason to exit, etc., etc., and hopefully we all make it, right? But until later tonight, until tomorrow, until Thursday, whatever. See you guys then. Take care.